How do you see things changing? What is your vision of how we could revitalize lesbian feminist life? How can we gain our community back?
I see that the public opinion might be changing. More and more people are aware of the queer project and what it actually is. And scientists and health experts opposed to narratives born in the wrong body or biology is a social construct, or what makes a woman is simply stating that you are one. So I think awareness of this is important, and we have these doctors and biology people. They can know they have joined, at least in Norway, the official conversation about it. But I also think we need new organizations, such as the LGB Alliance. We need to separate the LMB from the rest of the queer alphabet because we have nothing in common. And it will take time, but I think we'll be there eventually. But also the awareness that arises as a result of the debate on gender and gender-based rights, and the language we attach to the female body brings women together, as we see here. And this is a community, and the weight women who dare to stand alone and speak about this, it's revitalizing in itself. So when I hear these women, you, and when I hear Julia Long, Venice Allen, J.K. Rowling, Maya Forstetter, Julia Beck, Posey Parker, Sheila Jeffrey, and all these other women talking about it, I also see this responsibility that you take. And I see you as role models, and I see women fighting for expression of speech. And I think for me and for lots of other women, we fall in love with this community because to have like the guts and the power to speak up when the consequences are as serious as they are, it makes you embrace those people who actually stand up. So I think that we have found each other, and lots of women in all ages will meet, and we are connecting, and these communities are what we need for a new wave of some kind of second wave feminism.
Because the whole transgender thing is based on a lie, that is, that men can be women, then it won't last much longer. But then I think of all the lies throughout history that have lasted for generations, if not centuries, it's going to keep going. There is a movement against it, and we're part of it. But the power of the the power of the male supremacy is just so great. Just have to keep saying it's a lie, keep telling the truth. Doesn't matter if they call it hate speech, it's still the truth. Just don't do what the male left has done. What the male left did in the face of the rise of the right wing, the ruling class, again, which started around about in the 70s or 80s, when the male left found that the right wing didn't listen to them, they kowtowed to them, they bowed to them, they changed their minds, they gave in. The male left gave in to the right because they didn't have the power to stop what is being done. I'm talking about the whole neoliberalism thing here. I haven't seen any indication that the community of resistance to this transgender thing is giving in to it. The resistance is getting stronger, I think. We mightn't have access to the to the media that the boys have, but we do have access to some media. One of the things, of course, that is a bit worrying is that sometimes the only allies we've got are on the right wing, are on the right, which is, I mean, for example, in Australia, the newspaper, the national newspaper, The Australian, has a bloke called Bernard Lane, who writes for it, who's been writing some marvellous stuff against the whole transgender thing, and quoting feminists and lesbians and saying so, which is just, well, it's good. It's a bit mind-blowing. And then, of course, there was the Heritage Foundation in the United States that also seemed to, and when I've looked at what they've said, you know, you think, oh, well, the right wing is kind of, they'll get it wrong eventually. But everything they've said is I've agreed with. I mean, they've listened to feminists on this issue, not on other issues. And I think we've got to find allies wherever we can. I mean, I get into trouble for saying this, but they are people on the right wing. They even if they've got some wrong values, they can hear. And I think we've just got to accept what allies there are.
Someone asked about why I guess some of us, or including myself, describe lesbianism as political. And I want to say that there's been a real change in attitude among the lesbian community, those who are lesbians now, compared to in the 70s and 80s. Overwhelmingly, regardless of how a woman came to her lesbianism, whether she was a lesbian her entire life, never even been with a man her entire life, or whether she came out after decades of marriage and really didn't even know that this was a possibility until later on. Either way, the overwhelming majority of lesbians, certainly lesbian feminists, did not believe that women who were lesbians were biologically different from other women. So, and I still feel like that. So it's not to put down any other woman's life or anything like that, but it's just to say that we didn't see lesbianism as some kind of biological quirk. We saw it as something that any woman could do, and I still believe that's the case. So to answer the question, I think we need to rebuild an independent women's liberation movement and create a genuine third wave, since the other one was fake. This is a reason for my work in Feminist and Struggle. And such a movement in the United States, at least, and it's very dependent on the countries, needs to take on both enemies of lesbians and feminists, the religious right and transgenderism. And we need to emerge from our semi-underground existence. Even though underground organizing can be very useful, we need to start openly engaging in these defensive battles. But also, we need to begin to fight affirmatively for what we want as women, as feminists, and as lesbians. Feminism and lesbianism need each other, and we need to nurture our vision once again about the world we wish to create. We have to create intergenerational networks of feminists and lesbians, new feminist organizations that include detransitioners. And we need to create space to allow lesbians to tell our stories of what happened before, what the culture and movement that we had, so our younger sisters will not have to reinvent the wheel. And we need to separate lesbians from the alphabet soup of identities that the former lesbian gay rights movement has become, and recreate lesbian and or LGB movements, which we have not yet done in the United States, but the UK has done that, which is great. Most importantly, it is the organizing of women as women that will weaken the hold of compulsory heterosexuality as an institution and provide the space and the freedom for women to live as lesbians, to live lesbian lives, and recreate our lost culture and community.
The only way is, like Anne Menashe has said, recreating separatist spaces of disclosure and consciousness raising, where analysis of radical and lesbian feminism is promoted, like reading circles, cinema circles, spaces where teenagers and young women can learn about an alternative to the dominant LGBT and patriarchal discourse, spaces of creation of a feminist lesbian culture and recovery of our genealogy, which has been invisible and erased either by bisexual, transgender, and queer politics or by male history. I am optimistic because I see many young women of my generation reading a lot and spreading radical and lesbian feminism, especially women from Latin America, such as the Feministas Lúcidas of Chile, who are generating these spaces.
I am an optimist for the long term. I think that lesbian communities needed now more than ever. In a disembodied world, we need relationship with other lesbians. We have to hold on and show the importance of our community. To appeal to the young generation, we have to be openly as radical as we are in our heart. We have to be authentic. I was mistaken when I brought my vision to the world only to my friends, and I refer particularly when years ago I brainwashed myself in accepting trans presence in the lesbian and gay movement against my better judgment and feelings. We have to say that being with other lesbians is sometimes hard work, but necessary for us. We do not have a plan B. We can live our life fully only with the lesbian community around us. Separatism is still essential. Being with lesbians, creating, organizing, relaxing with them is our life, and we should be very clear about it. If we speak with truth, other lesbians will join us. Unfortunately, it is no longer enough just to advertise lesbian space, lesbian party, lesbian meeting, to have lesbians arrive in droves as it was in the past. Now we have to conquer lesbians one at a time, putting a lot of care in each relationship. The well-being we feel in a lesbian space does not go unnoticed, and it is not easily forgotten. Once a year, Archilesbica organizes a summer school in an only women's space, and women who participate are really happy about the experience. We are writing a short book titled We, the Lesbians, and its last chapter is going to be called Girls Keep Falling in Love. Notwithstanding all the fantasy about the dismantling and reassembling of body, about all people being similar under the umbrella name of queer, women are still attracted by other women. Girls still fall in love with other girls. We have the duty to show these girls the beauty of being a lesbian. If we do that, young lesbians will understand, exactly as we did when we were young and we met for the first time an out and proud lesbian. I am very confident in the power of lesbians together and the experience of well-being we have when we are in separatist spaces. I'm also very confident in the strength of lesbians. Lesbians tend to be women who do not give up easily. Possibility of freedom and happiness glimpsed in the presence of women we love, of our lesbian friends.